Okay, I have 6:02. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's see, is this it's on? So welcome to our July meeting. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. Celebrating our 250th birthday. I apologize. I have not been home 24 hours yet. Okay, so my brain is still kind of in jet lag mode, so that's what happens when they cancel your flight on you. But anyway, okay, so just to kind of help make things a little bit better, if you could refrain from using the Wi-Fi, we're going to try this. Last month it seemed to work well, okay? Yeah, but please turn your phones on silent, okay? You know, if it rings, chirps, beeps, otherwise make a sound, please turn it off, okay? Or turn it to silent. And if you can't do that, put it in airplane mode. All right. So it's our agenda, same usual agenda. We do have Amber Zelmer here. Yay. From Houston Zoo. She'll be our speaker tonight. And lots of stuff to talk about during our business meeting. First, do we have any visitors here tonight besides Amber? You guys didn't bring anybody? Come on.
My granddaughter's in the conference room.
Oh, I stuck her over there. Is that Zoe? Good kid. She's a good kid. Do we have any birthdays this month? No, birth anniversary, anything? Your wife's birthday. Well, tell her happy birthday. Okay. Well, this meeting may go really fast. Okay. So Donna sent out the meeting minutes from last month. Did anybody have any changes, or did you send them in to Donna? Nobody said anything? Okay, could I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes, please? Okay, Oren, second, John Bettinger, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. So Barbara could not be here tonight, so we'll skip this. If you know Barbara, congratulate her. Send her an email. If she's in class, send her an email, congratulate her. Oh,
No, she's not.
oh,
I know that.
oh, Barbara knows. Okay. Does anybody know if Don's online? I don't know how to look and tell. So, okay, John's gonna check. So Don, if you're online, I hope you're doing well. Those of you that, you saw the emails, Don had a little heart problem. He is home. He is doing well. At least the last I corresponded with him, he was doing well. He didn't need anything, even though I asked. But it's gonna be a while before he's gonna be able to be back and volunteering. So keep Don and his wife Diane in your prayers. It's gonna be a bit of a recovery. Okay, John. All right, there.
Well, thank you all for being here. Thanks all the volunteer time for coming in. If you need something to get you over a threshold, call and ask if we can come up with a good idea for you. For tonight, we'd like to thank these new people that recertified. This puts our total number around 60. Cynthia Grandjean, please come down for a photo. Joe Young, Brenda Martin, Caroline Baymonet, Joe Myers, and Andy Smith. If you need your own routinely contact Dennis Charleston or Brenda Martin.
Seen Dennis in a while.
Okay.
But-
Working in my extended delivery system for regular.
Oh, look at those butterflies. Oh, there you go.
Well, that's a great looking t-shirt.
That's a great t-shirt.
Put a smile and one more. I love you.
Thanks, folks. Keep up the good work.
Hold on, not there yet. So Jean, Taylor, is he here? Yeah, it's not here. Okay, So he's hit 250 hours. If you know him, congratulate him. Okay. The last I saw him was at Deep. He did work there quite a few times this year.
He graduated in the spring.
Oh, he did, spring class, so, wow.
He works 2025. Yeah, we didn't have a spring this year, but.
Yeah, okay, it's like, oh, wait a minute, how do you graduate this spring? Wait a minute. Jet lag is, it's like, wait a minute, we didn't have one. So last year's spring class. Okay, okay, so our hours, so for June, we were down a little bit, from the prior month, but still, 900 hours, AT 86 hours, year to date volunteer service, 8,100 hours. It's really nice. We have so many opportunities, things to volunteer with. And, we're not, there's stuff that we can't even cover. But, if we're not finding something that you're interested in, please come talk to us. So let us find you something. Anyway, AT 1,259 hours, grand total for the year, almost 9,300 hours of service time. Shh. Put it on silent. Thank you. Okay. Just came on. Our impact data, I think that the library numbers are not in here yet, and Ruby's not here for me to ask, but anyway, adults and youth, both 90 for the month. Year to date, we're at 16,473. So those are people that we have made contacts with. We've talked to them, we've presented something to them. If you've been working any of the library programs, those kids are just, they just want to know. They just want to know. So, except my granddaughters who wanted to squeeze everything. It's like, no. Anyway. So as with each month, these numbers won't be final because y'all are still entering. People like me who are behind and entering their hours. So hours aren't considered final until middle of next month. Okay, Jimmy. That's your turn.
Also, no pressure to the granddaughter, but there are videos of cute birds in this presentation if he wants to join from my life.
Yeah.
Just interesting to know our speaker, that's a Texas mosquito. Our speaker asked me what kind of group we're on. Well, we're like those kids who go to the library program. We just want to know. We're anxious to learn stuff, so.
Okay, oops, I forgot. We got to get her thing up, so.
Anyway, our speaker has been working at the zoo and aquarium field for over 15 years.
Or do end?
And her full-time career at the Houston Zoo in 2009. She has worked with a variety of animals.
I knew we need to get her a presentation. I didn't know if I had to hit end, what I needed to do.
Endangered species like the atwater.
I was admitting,
Okay.
so we saw her in the view.
She's excited to be back in Texas after spending 5 years working to hand rear birds in remote areas.
Stop sharing.
She is now the Animal Nutrition Supervisor at the Houston Zoo, but she continues to be involved in bird watching at every opportunity and is always looking for ways to support our feathered friends.
Right, not gonna bring it up.
This lady has a lot to grow about, so I'm just.
You guys can raise your hand if you can't hear me. I'm doing this. So Fotten Aga, that means strong Aga. The Aga is the Mariana Crow, and that's what I'm actually going to be talking to you guys about today. So I spent 2.5 years on the island of Rhoda, which we'll talk a lot more about during this presentation, helping to hand rear Mariana Crows. On my shirt right here. So Mariana Crow is the only corvid found in Micronesia. They were formerly found on Guam and Rota, and now they're endemic only to the island of Rota. So they're pretty much, they look pretty much the same as our crows, they only live there and they're just a little bit smaller. And you'll hear in the videos, provided they actually play, that they sound a lot different than our crows as well. So, and there's a little picture of Rota and Guam, and you go, why are they not on Guam anymore? Brown tree snake. Does anybody, let's raise your hands, does anybody know the story of the brown tree snake? So brown tree snake, don't get me wrong, I love snakes, but this one is not where it belongs. And if you want more information, I encourage you to look this up. Guam is a fascinating case study of what can happen with just one invasive species introduced to the wrong place. It's had devastating effects on the flora and fauna of Guam. So the brown tree snake, that's their native range over there on the side, just above Australia, Papua New Guinea. They were believed to have made their way to Guam shortly after World War II as a stowaway on cargo ships due to the heavy military presence on Guam, and they established populations and pretty much ate all of the birds. The extinction and or extirpation of nearly all of native birds was a result of the introduction of the tree snake, and they are still on the island and they're attempting to mitigate it. There's a lot of work being done by people to help save the birds that are surviving. So obviously the Mariana Crow no longer on Guam at all. They were lucky to have that sister population on Rota, so they still have a stronghold, but the Guam kingfisher or seaheck and the Guam rail or cocoa, those birds did not have populations established anywhere else, and it's only through the efforts of captive breeding populations that they're still holding on. So I do encourage you guys to also look up the Guam kingfisher reintroduction. It's a really cool program that's being run by some people that I know actually, that I met out there on these islands. And they're having an experimental population on Palmyra atoll to try and get the Guam kingfisher back into the wild, which is a crazy success story for something that was extinct in the wild. But I'm not here to talk about that, even though I love them too. Here to talk about the Mariana Crow. So I know those birds. Those are some birds that I released. Just a little blurb. I won't go through that. It's just a blurb about showing that their population was still declining despite still having a population on Rota. So like many island endemics, they face challenges in that there's not a lot of space for them to go to when things are happening in our island that are bad. So despite no brown tree snakes being on the island of Rota, they still face a lot of the same challenges that other animals are facing, like habitat loss, human development, as well as things like invasive species like introduced rats and monitor lizards. There's some debate about monitor lizards, whether they're also endemic to the island or whether they're an introduced species, but they do consume the crows and pose a challenge. Most of the challenges were, as usual, human related, but a lot of people cared enough to work to help the crows. So it's a collaborative effort between multiple divisions. Of course, the CNMI, Department of Land and Natural Resources, United States Fish and Wildlife Service, and then the two key players are the University of Washington, who runs the Rota Avian Behavioral Ecology Program. They've been on the island since 2005 studying the crows. They were the major drivers of their population recovery. And the San Diego Zoo, who's been involved since 2016. So I probably shouldn't put their names in here, but Dr. Sarah Fakery is the PI for the Mariana Crow, and Philip Hannon is the recovery program coordinator for San Diego Zoo. They've been out there for over 15 years, taking care of the crows, and their husband and wife couple, actually. He was part of the University of Washington before being contracted by San Diego to do the Head Start program. So I liken them to like two sides of the same coin. University of Washington and San Diego It says University of Washington does all of the field work. They monitor the wild populations. They help with the collections of the eggs for the captive rearing program. And then San Diego does all of the raising of the birds, provides the supplies for medical treatments and for feeding the birds as they're being grown up and conditioned for release. So they work extremely closely together. So both of those people were instrumental in making this a good experience for me and really helping to grow this population. Where is Rhoda? Let's reverse a little bit because nobody knows where the heck that is. I didn't know where the heck it was when I went out there either. I moved out there in the time just right in the middle of COVID when I was they were offering a free room, free plane ticket, COVID-free island, come raise baby bird. And I was like, sign me up for that. So this tiny little blip is the island of Rhoda. That little heart was where our apartment was located, and then Lens Test does work. So over here on this side of the island is where the zoo was. We called it the zoo for simplicity's sake, but that's where we had the aviaries where we were raising the birds. And then we had 2 different release sites on the island. So moving on from this time, it's about 30 square miles, by the way. It's a very small island. Just to show you, we'll zoom out. There's Guam, and then the Northern Mariana Islands up here. This is Saipan and Tinian. So these are the major islands in the Northern Marianas. Guam is different. It's considered a territory. I don't know politically the difference between a territory and a commonwealth, but they're all highly involved, but they're separate.
How far from Guam?
Oh my gosh, I could see Guam if I was standing on Mount and it was a clear day, so not super far. And I definitely had to fly into Guam anytime I wanted to get back there. No direct flight. So those tiny dots, the island, just a tiny little blip of the sea. You can see over here. That's Hawaii. We know is very far from our shore, and then it's even farther to get out there to these islands. So just a couple. This is what I call the snapshots. I really did just a lot of photos that I'm going to talk about so that you guys can see what it's like to be there. This is the lookout from the Song Village, just kind of looking out over the major part of the town. And then the water there is bluer than I've ever seen water be in my life. This is the pristine jungle, so that's good untouched habitat for the crows as well as a lot of other sea birds that live there. There's some bee colonies, and there's a lot of birds. There's probably 10 species of bird that you can find on the island. But the Mariana fruit dove. Should have put a picture of one of those in there. Look that up later. Mariana fruit dove, beautiful bird. A really awesome bird to just be sitting on a telephone wire outside our apartment. Sunsets on. So this is a view from the zoo looking out over the cliffs at sunset. And then just a brief history of the island of Rhoda and why it is the Commonwealth. So Luda is the name that was originally given by the native people. It was colonized around 1500 BC by the seafaring people who became known as Chamorros. This term was actually coined by the Spanish who found the island, and then it was colonized by Spain, sold to Germany by Spain, and then occupied by Japan during the World War. There is a ton of history in the Marianas, especially relating to the wars. And there's a huge Japanese influence on this island. Japan ruled the island for the next 30 years. They had a sugarcane refinery there. They brought tourism to the island. And you can kind of see they built most of the infrastructure on the island, like the towns and the road systems and everything. During World War II, the U.S. pushed the Japanese on the islands after the bombing of Pearl Harbor so that they could use Saipan and Tinian for a base for the war. It's crazy all of the museums and things that they have on those islands to visit. It's a lot of history. You can see the Japanese kingdom right there. And then after the war, when the Japanese surrendered in 1945, those islands The islands became part of the UN Trust of Pacific Nations until becoming a Commonwealth of the United States.
So it's not a territory like Guam is, but it still falls under our
Jurisdiction.
protection.
Yeah, because like the US post office, it's still a USPS on the island that I went to visit, so, yeah, again, I too do not know the distinction, I just feel like territory bigger, Commonwealth smaller,
Well, it's
slightly less like.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out why is US Fish and Wildlife on some other place, but it makes sense now, got it.
All right. That picture up at the top is a, an abandoned water park. It's weird because Rhoda was a very popular place for tourism at one point, not the point where I was there. It's probably less than 2,000 people on that island, but I think like in the 80s and 90s, there was a very big spot for like diving. And I knew someone who had a dive shop out there. He still has a dive shop, but it's not booming anymore. But there's a lot of just weird abandoned places there. So that's an abandoned water park that was like right down the street from our apartment where we would go and snorkel because the ocean's just on the other side. Yeah.
Just wondering how many of the original would be.
I would say probably at least 2/3 of the population on the island are actually like Rhodonese or from like Guam or Tinian. That's like a rough estimate, but just from like my experiences there. And then the other third are people like myself who are like working in the natural resources departments, or some people like Mark and Lynn who came out there to run a dive shop and just chill. Yeah.
Are the people on the island you consider US citizens?
US citizens.
I believe that they are, they cannot vote, but so they can't vote in the general elections, but they are US citizens. No, they just vote on, yeah, you get the protecting, but not. Oh, sorry, there was a question if the people on the island are US citizens, and yes, they are, although they don't vote in the general elections.
So you don't need a passport to go there?
You don't technically, but you do because you can't really get there without going through somewhere else. So like most of the time I had to fly through Japan to get to there because it's really difficult to get through. So I still had to have my passport. And we almost couldn't send a volunteer home one time because he was supposed to go through Japan and his passport expired in the whole like. These are just some photos of the flora on the island. To give you an idea, it's probably like, it's usually in the 80s all the time. It's very humid, very like steady, hot all the time, which is great for growing up jungle. So it's lots of vines, lots of moss. Here's another photo of some like pristine forests. These little white blobs are red-footed boobies. So this is a colony, but like in this area, so this is from the cliff at what they call the bird sanctuary. So during nesting season, this is full of boobies, but then like the aga do nest in parts of this forest. And then the substrate is like a limestone karst. So it's very sharp and very rugged. Very hard with the shoes in your hands if you trip and fall. So the rest of my presentation will be talking in general about the Head Start program and what I did there. So I'm feeling like I should have put a slide on it, but just to familiarize you guys with a Head Start program, that's a way to recruit more animals to a population without the need to have a captive breeding population. So in an instance like this, you wouldn't want, with a population so low, you wouldn't necessarily want to bring all the birds in from the wild when they're still actively able to breed on their own, because then you need a lot of space. You need a lot of space to have them have their pairs, to raise their own young. And so Head Start program is a great option for adding additional animals without having to bring the adults themselves into captivity. So if a bird lays eggs in a nest and a predator eats them, they will often re-nest and still have success that season. So we capitalize on that ability of the birds, and we were permitted, University of Washington in conjunction with San Diego Zoo, University of Washington did the actual collection. They were permitted to collect up to 15 eggs per season from the wild birds. We would take them as soon as possible once we discovered a nesting pair to give them the best chance of re-nesting. And then that way we can double or sometimes even more than double the productivity of that pair, because they will lay between 2 and 3 eggs, but those adults probably are only going to raise 1 or 2 chicks to adulthood. Whereas if we have the eggs and they're all fertile, we're almost guaranteed to be able to hatch all 3, and we have an 80 or to 90% success rate in raising the chicks all the way up to adulthood. Some years we have 100% success in the rearing, but sometimes they're just not the strongest. This is a picture of their eggs being collected. So they are shaped like an egg. They're faced pointing side down right here in this bucket of millage. So they climb the tree and collect the eggs, and then we bring them back to the zoo for us to incubate them the rest of the way. And again, we don't always know how far along they are in the incubation process. So once the nests were discovered, we would give them 3 days to confirm that they were actually incubating. Then we would collect the eggs. Sometimes we would go up there and surprise, they would already be chicks. We were allowed to collect chicks. We didn't necessarily, we wouldn't collect them if their eyes were open. At a certain point, we just, mom and dad would put so much work into them that we just let them keep on going. But these chicks here are probably only 2 or 3 days old. They look pretty big, but when they're raised by their parents, they grow much faster than when they're raised by us. So.
Is the lighter egg a different, or something?
No, they just have kind of different patterns. They all look very different. We had some that had like different shapes, so it's just a lot of the draw, I guess. However, it moves through the oviduct and gets colored.
Is there a reason that they're in the millet with the pointy end down?
It's just the nicest way to nestle them in there to make sure that they don't move around. And then these are 2 of the aga that I hand reared, the first 2 aga that I helped and learned how to raise. So it's aga 46 and 47, nuzzling up in their little bucket. I believe that is aga 48, but I will be honest, they all kind of look the same when they're that big. They all kind of look the same when they're fully grown too. And those are those eggs once the babies popped out. Once they're a lot more work for me and all of my coworkers. So actually, I would like to say this program is still going right now, as of right now, but I don't think it will continue forever, especially as the population is recovering. But they depend heavily on volunteers. When I'm out there, I was a volunteer agriculturalist, but they do pay for you to go out there. They pay for your room and board, and they provide a monthly stipend for your food. So it was a pretty great deal in the middle of COVID, let me tell you that. And then it was an even better deal when they were like, hey, you need to let it here, do you want to stay for a little while? So I continued on as a research associate for 2 years, helping to train and work with the volunteers. But 3 years is a long enough time to be that far away from everybody else.
What you call hand rearing.
What was that?
Hand rearing. Right.
Yes, we were hand rearing them. So I'm actually gonna dive into that right now. Just for you. So this is a picture of the food that we were feeding them. They got a mixture when they were little like this. We have this little chopped up food mixture. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Scrambled eggs, dog food, a pelleted diet, papaya, crickets, blueberries, and some vitamins. These are the puppets that we used to hand rear them. So those were especially made by someone who was affiliated with the San Diego Zoo because they also rear the alala. So another fun conservation story. I'll give you guys tons of homework. Look this up, look this up. So the alala or Hawaiian crow is also a program that's that San Diego participates in. So they designed those and you're like, well, crow face looks like a crow face, we'll take some of those two things. So that's what we use to feed the chicks so that they would see that instead of me. That's me, getting ready to feed them, pre-costume, post-costume.
Yeah.
So we wore costumes once their eyes were open. So when their eyes were not open, it didn't matter. I could see those little naked baby birds and they didn't know who I was. And I could use forceps and that was just fine. But about 5 to 7 days, their eyes start to open and then we put on full costume so they never see our faces. And we also always make sure to have our hands covered because hands and faces are very human. We did not want them to be associating people with food because there have been some conflicts with the humans on the island. There's been a lot of outreach, a ton of work has gone into making the Rhoda bees and the Chamorro people on the island feel like proud and connected to the birds because for a while, even though Fish and Wildlife means well, sometimes we slap rules on things that drastically affect the livelihoods of other people. And so there were problems where they were telling people, you know, if you have Aga on your land, you can't farm your land because you can't disturb them. But this is their land. They need to be able to farm and make their livelihood. And so there was a period of time where people were actually just like killing the birds if they found them on their land because they're like, less headache for me. You never knew that they were there. But thankfully, a lot of that has turned around and that's not really a problem for us anymore. It's more disease, habitat loss, increasing storm activity because of the warming oceans are the major problems currently. And just trying to grow a population can take a long time when your population tanks to get back up to good levels. So that's me in a costume. And then the birds outside, so they grow extremely quickly. Anybody who has birds in their backyard know how fast they go from being an egg to being a baby bird just flying all around. So these guys are probably fully fledged and flying well within about 60 days, but weaned completely from our care in about 45 days. So once they hatch, it's just a lot of work to quick turn them around, but they do stay with the program for a lot longer. These guys are probably about 2 weeks old in this picture, and we're getting them used to the outside temperature so that we can start acclimating them to staying outside. This costume looks a little bit more sketch than the other. We wore the white robes outside because it was a lot cooler than being outside in those black robes, but we did prefer to wear the full black face mask. This was just, I was new then, and it takes a while to get used to having your face fully covered like that and looking through the mesh. So I wanted to make sure that I was doing it right. We had this, it's like a training mask. I wear it right here. So again, these are the same birds that were in those first photos. So 46, 47, and 48. Pay attention to 48. She's going to be a big player in our story today. Just kind of gross looking right there with her pin feather still coming in. There's about 5 more of them. It's like feast or famine there. You start off and you're like one egg, and then they all hatch out at once, and there's just all these little faces needing their attention. This is the same birds again. 46, 47, 48, learning to feed themselves, so they progressively graduate. There's the bucket of babies on that side. So as they get older, they progressively move from being inside. We keep them outside for longer and longer periods of the day, let them stay out for the full day, and we don't let them stay out for the whole night until they're able to like actually move around, so that if they were to fall off of the platform onto the ground, they need to be able to jump their way back up on the sticks to make sure they're not sleeping on the ground with like the ants or the hermit crabs. Coconut crabs too, there's coconut crabs out there. Here's a little video so you can see what they sound like. That's fine.
Turn my microphone up.
Oh. Where's the speaker? Warmer.
Hear it?
I hear it.
It's right here. Is that a mic?
We can hear it. I'm sorry that you can't hear the birds screaming as they jump around. They sound kind of like blue jays. Sound kind of like blue jays to me.
Thing to turn it up.
I can make crow sounds for you if I want. Much it. I actually had to make sounds at them a lot, so I got pretty good at it. So that's how you get the big beats. So you have to wah, wah. That's how you get them to open their mouth. So I do a good crow impression. This is them learning to feed themselves. So again, they progress to being able to eat on their own. So these kiddos are probably 25, 30 days in this. And then I don't know how many people know how to make bird bangs, but we can do a simple lesson here. You go left leg first, top, bottom, right leg second, top, bottom. And so you have to be a little bit creative when you call them by name, by using their colored bands. So like this bird here, well, Hermes not very creative. He was white, blue, and then we have a metal band, we have it aluminum. I mean, it is aluminum, but then at least you get a vowel. So white, blue, aluminum, blue, so that was what they had. And then this is aluminum green, and so this red yellow, so that's AB. Just so you're not having to be like, A-U-B-A-B, A-O-B-O, although we did not find if I would to say A-O-B-O, so we should just say A-O-B-O.
Well, you might cover it already, but when they're being released into the wild, they're always just gonna be kept in captivity no more.
You guys are being released into the wild,
So you keep the bands on them,
yes.
you get the back.
So we keep the bands on them so that they can then be tracked by University of Washington. And then they actually do capture and ban the wild birds as well. So I think 90% of the current population is banded.
Flight cage on.
Yeah, we have, so there were multiple aviaries on the property, so that was a small cage that they were in when they were smaller. And then there was a large flight cage that we put them in once they could actively fly, where they could strengthen their muscles. And then there was another aviary with multiple chambers where we could house the adults. Originally in the program, they would keep the chicks for 2 seasons before releasing them, but they found that they didn't really need to. They wanted to make sure that they were like smart, strong enough to eat, good at foraging, but we found that 2 years was a little bit too long, so they started, they're collected and hatched somewhere between September and December, and then they're released somewhere between May and June. But my first year there, we were still releasing birds that had been housed for 2 years.
How many batches of babies do they have a year?
For the crows themselves, almost always just one. Unless something happens to their first nest. Some pairs will re-nest, but it's much less common than it is for like birds like in our backyard, like bluebirds are just like pop them out like 2 or 3 clutches in a season. These guys usually just do one. So that's why this captive rearing can really help boost the population a lot faster. We obviously taught them how to not only eat on their own, which all birds have to learn how to do, but we did a lot of things to teach them to forage. So this slide is about live prey, but I'd also like to say that we used we collected leaf litter and we would sprinkle crickets or sprinkle their food in the leaf litter and cover it up so that they would dig in the leaves and then find their food there to teach them that that's a worthwhile foraging strategy. We collected what we used to call leaf tacos, which was a leaf that's all rolled up, and then we would stuff that with food and hide them all around the aviary so that they would be encouraged to look in things like that, because you would find bugs and things to eat in there. And then we did a lot of things I never thought I'd do in my life, like teach baby birds how to eat live prey. We collected geckos. We actually didn't really have to teach them how to do this. They were very instinctively on it once they were flying around, and they just went right for them. And we also collected things like katydids, praying mantises, all sorts of bugs for them to consume. But the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life is teach a bird how to kill a hermit crab. So hermit crab, don't worry, I didn't have a video of myself doing that. I don't want to be reincarnated as a hermit crab. Sorry, hermit crabs for all that I've done. It's for a greater cause. So there was a land snail that was introduced to the island, which is what the shell is. You'll see the shell better in the next video. But the shell was a preferred home for the hermit crabs once the land snails died. And then someone on the University of Washington field team observed some crows, wild crows consuming a hermit crab and pecking it out of the shell. And they were like, well, if they want to eat it, we should probably teach them how to do that. So you'll see in this video, we're measuring the pinch diameter of the hermit crab because they had a very fun process of teaching them. So as chicks, we would feed them the abdomen of the hermit crab in their food so that they would get a taste for it. And then they would get already dead hermit crabs so that they learned that that is food. And then we would actually use a pair of pliers to mimic a bird beak and like peck the hermit crab in the process that the crow would peck it out, pull it, shake it, and then they figured it out. They did not all figure it out though. It's a very, it's a complicated process. And not all the wild crows ate them anyway, but it's a high risk, high reward food. We had some birds that could take a hermit crab out of its shell in less than 30 seconds, just chow it down. But I have some birds that just really never learned. This is BYAB, and she does not get the crab out of the shell in this video, but she's just demonstrating how they manipulate the crabs. So they'll push it up into a corner, and that's what we would teach them to do, to push it into a corner and wedge it against something. And then they peck right at the spot where the shell, like where the spirally part hits the base. If they peck right there, eventually they can make a little hole in it. And then once there's a hole, they can kind of pinch the crab until it runs out of the shell, and that's what they can consume it. She loses interest in this video because we were trying to use her as a teacher. So she's next to a bunch of chicks that are screaming, and she's like, I didn't sign up for this. Like, they're actually not in there with her, but she's like, who said that I was supposed to be around all these guys? I don't really care about crabs that much. Yeah.
What did you do?
Killed hermit crabs with pliers as though I was a crow. Yes, I packed it. So I had full costume, and then the pliers were, it was needle nose pliers, they were the beak. And so I just peck until I poked the hole, and then once there was a hole, I peck until the crab comes out, and then you catch it and shake it like a bird would. And then I always tried to throw it really fast to the crows so that they would eat it as fast as they could, since it's still a little bit hanging on there. One of the strangest things I've ever done in my life. Yeah, who can say? Those geckos, I caught those geckos by sweeping them off of the ceiling with a broom and catching them when they fell, because we would like collect them from the, we would go around to the beaches at night. They had big concrete structures on the beaches, and those are Mediterranean geckos, which don't belong there, but they're an excellent food source for the crows. So we would go out at night with our headlamps and collect geckos and bring them in for the crows to learn to eat. These guys are learning how to eat from a hopper. So once they're released, they will be supplementally fed for a period of time. It really depends on the group of crows and how they're doing, how long they're fed. But the hopper has a lid that actually will fully close, and they have to learn how to push it open on their own and get the food inside, so that we're not just throwing a buffet out there to anything that wants it. So in that process, right now these kiddos are learning how to open the hopper. It's locked open in this one, so they get empty lid, no lid, and then a lid halfway on, and then a little bit further until it's fully closed. And they also have a scale. This is our high-tech way of keeping weights on them after they were released. The little kitchen scale, which they learned to perch on this. This one is obviously so old it doesn't work, but they get to feel the motion of it and get used to it. So then after they're released, we have kind of a crappy scale that hangs out there all the time. And then every so often we would go out there, switch it out with a good scale, put a video. Well, the video camera was always on the hopper so that we could make sure that everybody was eating, but then we could capture the weights by watching the video and keep track of them.
They were skinny, did you bring them back in and retrain them?
Yes, we did.
Oh, right.
There were a couple birds that just never graduated. We had a bird who injured her eye in a fight with a kingfisher. And we tried to release her twice. And she would do almost everything. She always seemed like she was doing so well. But she just could never keep weight on her when she was out there. So she's part of the captive population. None of the captive birds have raised any birds of their own. They make a great education tool when we're talking about them at the facility. We have one that is missing a wing. We have one that is missing a leg from various injuries that they sustained. And we think the one that was missing a leg was actually a chick that I raised. And post-release, she got tangled in a vine and was hanging upside down for too long, so it cut off the blood supply to that leg. We got her untangled and brought her back, and it really seemed like she was doing okay, but it had been too long, so we ended up having to amputate. And then the one with the wing was a fledgling from a wild nest that had been attacked by a coconut crab. And so its wing had been completely crushed, and he had to have it amputated. So naturally, he also is part of the population at the facility, but it serves as a really great talking point when we have guests come visit, like schools and other people come stay, and actually see a crowd that we can talk around. Because in addition to being in costumes, we were very careful not to talk to them. The only time they saw us as people was when we were doing things that were just not affecting them, or when we were doing things that they didn't like catching them to move them to a different aviary, or catching them to draw their blood, or put their bands on, or do their health checkups, or put their backpacks on for their release. So anything like that, we always did as a person. So then they're even less likely to bother people because they're like, no, thank you. Those people are weird and they do stuff to me that I don't like. They're still very curious, so they would still get in our business. I feel like they still recognize us no matter what we do. This is the release, the 2021 release is the first one that I was involved with. These birds were raised, obviously, by the volunteers 2 years prior to me, because that was when they were still keeping them for 2 seasons. So they had been trained up, taught how to forage, taught how to eat live prey, and then we take them down to this aviary and they stay in there for a month, maybe longer, just to kind of like establish that in their mind as like home base. And then we will let them out of the aviary. We leave the aviary open for a few days with food inside, so they can come and go as they please. And then they kind of naturally disperse around the area. But we continue to provide supplemental feed twice a day. And then the University of Washington also participates in their doing live checks on them every day. And they're like doing observations of what they're doing and taking notes. Like, I saw this one eat a hermit crab today. I saw this one eat a gecko. Just a couple pictures of the cuties. This is Burba. He was one of the chicks raised before I came there. B-R-B-A Burba. He's also kind of a key player in all of this. One of my favorite birds, actually. He had a wing injury, so he had to hang out with us for a long time. How that he got released. So to talk about having monitored them for a second. Also, they had a little backpack tracker that had a small radio transmitter, nothing that was strong enough for us to actually like track them with. All it would do is beep at a certain frequency as long as it was a certain temperature. So they took what they call pulse rates twice a day. They would take them in the morning and they would take them at night, because that's when the air was cool enough that you would know that the transmitter was beeping, because it was touching a nice warm bird body as opposed to beeping really fast because it's 95 degrees outside. So they did the pulse rates in morning and night, and if a pulse rate was low, then it would indicate that either the bird was cold and possibly deceased, or that the transmitter had fallen off. So anytime they got a low pulse rate, it was an automatic search to try and find that bird so that we could determine what happened to it. There is still a problem on the island with feral cats, along with feral dogs. Obviously, the cats pose a larger problem to the birds themselves. We did have several of our released birds fall prey to feral cats. But we did keep videos, like we kept trail cams out there so that we could see if there were things in the area, and we would trap and relocate cats if they were a problem. Wrapping it up. How are you doing on time in soccer?
You're
Good,
good.
all right, cool. Now you can ask a million questions. Huh?
2-minute warning.
Oh, 2 minutes. I'll finish this. I'm right with the end. Okay, so, these are the updates from 2026. So this is, following the 2025 season. So, Rachel Kaiser is the current research associate. So she does the job that I did there for 2 years. She's been doing it for 3 now. This will be the 4th season. She was able to provide me with updates currently. So remember I said August 48 would be important. This beautiful girl right here, YARO. I'll talk about her in a second. As of this past season, we released 114 birds total since the inception of the hand-rearing program. 76 of those birds were still confirmed alive after the 2025 season. I will say the island was just hit with Super Typhoon Bobby, and it was devastating. So all of these numbers are probably wrong, but we're going to talk about the good right now, and then I'll talk about the bad in a second. Total population was estimated to be 300 birds, and if you remember, it was down to only 81 at one point, so it has been making a huge difference. 38 of the released birds have paired with wild or wild or other released birds. 29 are paired currently. 8 are pairs of released duos, so that's a released bird that paired up with another released bird, so 2 captive raised birds. 2 sets of thruples, which we found fascinating. It was actually the first thruple that we saw was a female, and she paired with 2 brothers. And in your head, you're like, well, do you know that you're related? And that's why you're like, well, those genes are my genes, and we're supposed to work out for all of us, or if it was just that those guys were raised together because we collected them at the same time because they were nestmates, and then raised them together, or for whatever reason, they formed a little throuple and they like to make nests. I don't know that they've raised chicks yet. Just hanging out. So we've got 2 sets of triplets, and then 7 released birds that paired with wild birds. 4 of the birds that paired with wild birds have successfully fledged chicks. It took a while. We were a little bit worried for a second because we've been releasing them for them like a couple of years, and we're like, you guys gonna do anything? They're just gonna hang out up there, but apparently it takes them a couple of years before they're actually, and they make a lot of nests that they don't lay eggs in before they can get into actually raising chicks of their own. So 4 have successfully fledged chicks. AOE was the first released bird to fledge a chick, and she's fledged 3 total chicks with her wild partner. 3 of the released duos have fledged chicks, which my pal on the last slide, Berva, is paired with Miss Yarrow right here, and they are the first fully released captive bird pair that successfully raised a chick fully to fledging. So they've raised 3 birds, or 3 chicks so far. At least 10 fledglings have been reared by birds released through the captive breeding program to date. So, 10 doesn't feel like a big number, but in a population of 300, it's pretty significant. So it was a really wonderful experience to be a part of this and to say that, I fed that bird that made more birds that are actually like affecting and growing this wild population. So it's a really cool thing to get to share with you guys. I'm gonna go on a bit of a downer, and then, well, that's not a downer, that's cute. I'll come back to the good slide in a second, but just touching back to Super Typhoon Bobby. That typhoon hit 1 month after another super typhoon had just hit the islands, and the other super typhoons in Laku really concentrated on Saipan and Tinian, but this one, that's Rhoda, literally right in the eye of this super typhoon. This storm was over 1,000 miles across. it didn't spare any bit of these islands. You can see it just covers them, every bit of them. So as the oceans are warming, as super weather events are becoming more prevalent, all the more reason to support programs that are helping to mitigate the effects of climate change and to help the communities that are so important and underserved for supporting places like this. So Micronesian Climate Change Alliance shares a lot of information and gets money directly to these islands to helping them rebuild. And then if you go on Facebook from Luda for Luda, anybody wants to take a picture of this, my shameless plug, I didn't have this in here originally, but I threw it on there because I've seen all the photos of how hard this hit these islands and how much damage it's done. And these people can't continue to do anything for the wildlife when they're having to rebuild from the ground up. So I really don't know what's gonna happen with the program this year. They were intending to do a rear release, but I do believe the aviaries were heavily damaged and many of them were lost. So I know they'll have a lot of rebuilding to do before they can do stuff there. This money doesn't go directly to the program, though. This goes directly to places like that are helping the residents get money for rebuilding their homes. The World Kitchen also is providing meals out there to them.
Was anybody killed? Was any of the people with the birds?
Usually there were no casualties, no loss of human life in either of these super cyclones because there was such support NOAA and your weather tracking organizations because of that early warning system, and all of the mayors of all of the islands were like, gonna be back, you guys, you've gotta get inside, don't go outside, don't try and shelter at home. And they opened up shelters on the islands. So everybody took it really seriously. They all like barricaded themselves in their houses if they had a typhoon proof house or went to the shelters. So there was no loss of human life during the storm.
What were these? When was that?
This was Monday.
Monday, yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why I like the update that I was like, oh man, my goodness, just turned a little bit sad. But, so they're like right in the middle of cleaning up after all of this. So I don't know anything about what it looks like really at the facilities other than a lot of it was damaged and they lost a lot of the property.
How much elevation was it on?
Oh man, what is the tallest island on there? I think it's like, or the tallest point on Rhoda, like 800 feet, I think. So it's not super high. I have to double check that. But I feel like that's about ish.
Place to climb to.
Yeah. It kind of, it's not super, but there is like a gradient. So like the town itself, like when I showed that first map, there was like a little pointy side, and then the eastern side of the island is more elevated. And that's actually where the house is for where we house the birds. It's up on a cliff, which means it doesn't flood from the ocean, but it does still flood because the wind is with water at 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Let's look back at these cute little birds though for a second. Let's end on a positive note because these are all birds that were raised and are now out in the wild, helping other birds raise birds.
Are their eyes actually blue?
They are blue when they're babies. It's the same for American crows actually too. So when they're, this is what I call like prime cuteness stage. Like one of my fellow volunteers made a graph of like the cuteness of a crow as it grows, and this is the peak. Like it starts off like low when they look like a little gummy bear, and they get slightly cuter, and then they get way uglier when they're in what we call the gremlin stage. When their eyes are closed and they're just growing their long beak, and they look just kind of funky. And then from gremlin stage, it goes to peak cuteness. And then it goes slightly down and tapers off the plateau as adult, but peak cuteness right here.
So
Is there a reason for the changing colors of the beaks? I see some yellows and I see pinks.
Oh yeah, they do have, when they're babies, they have pink beaks like that, and then as they get older, you can see this bird is like the oldest of these three, it's starting to turn black. Their beaks will be fully black by the time that they're adults. I imagine it is just kind of one of those things that draws more attention from mom and dad. And they've got like, their little corners of their mouths are like pink and fleshy. And they call that like the gate, and that's how you can tell that it's a baby bird. If you see one in your yard, if it has that little like pink corners to its mouth, it's a baby or fledgling. So yeah, they have cute little pink beaks and pretty blue eyes when they're chicks. And their eyes turn dark, like brown, and then their beaks are black when they're adults.
Okay, so question two.
Absolutely.
So at your timeline, I think you had like a few months there where you're releasing them each year. You had a few months where you wouldn't necessarily have chicks that you're managing. Is that right?
Correct.
So
So
what did you do during that time?
my bosses took a break, a much needed break to go and visit their family. So that's when we would have about, so when I became a full-time staff, so yeah, from September to about December is like prime intense chick rearing. We have multiple volunteers working to help raise the chicks, about 4, sometimes 6 volunteers helping to raise them. And then once they're flying around and feeding themselves, they're a lot less work, but still hard work. And then the release happens in about May-ish in the year. And then once they are released, then there's only one set of birds, like the chicks that were raised that year are hanging out, and then the other birds have been released. So there's less birds at the property. And then they have 1 or 2 volunteers that are staying over on the island, and then that enables my bosses to get back to the United States, myself when I did live there as well, a couple months to just dedicate to going home and seeing your family, because it was a hard ask of these people that were coming out there. I don't know if you noticed, but September to December spans Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It rolls right into that. So these people are out there for 8 months. They're missing every holiday with their family to dedicate themselves to helping to raise these birds. So I celebrated a lot of holidays out there, and I made it a big point to make sure that we did a lot for those holidays to make sure that those people weren't missing their families, because a lot of people that volunteer are just, you know, young 20-somethings who are just getting into the conservation field, and this is their first time so away from their families. And like, you saw that, not, you couldn't be more away from your family than in the middle of the ocean.
The other question was, so these methods, these protocols that you had, are they used with other types of birds as well? Or is this something where there are things that you only did just for this species?
I did not develop the methods, but they're picked from, they were modeled on tried and true methods. So I think a big reason that we used San Diego Zoo, or that San Diego Zoo was supporting this program, is that they were raising the Alala, so they already knew how to do some of this. But we were really taking from different programs, and then also, you know, tweaking it as we went. So soft release is something that's done with a lot of birds. Like I said, I work with the prairie chicken as well. They used to do the Atwater prairie chickens, and they do a soft release, but rearing them is a lot different because they're precocial. So they're like eyes open, running around, doing their own thing, feeding themselves from day one. It's a lot less work to raise them than an altricial bird that needs hand feeding multiple times a day. So especially with San Diego Zoo, because they do have such a robust bird collection at the zoo, and they're raising tons of birds. They're really great with, like, they were instrumental in developing the food that we fed them, like the formula of like what we mixed together to give them. And they were great with like teaching us how to do incubation for the eggs. They would actually send out people from St. Ava Zoo to help teach the staff every season on like methods like that. Like obviously my boss played a huge role in that as well. And then I played a very large role in it as well for teaching the other volunteers how to maintain the incubators, how to hand feed a crow. But it's kind of a mix of lots of things that worked and then tweaking it as we went. When we found out that keeping them for 2 years wasn't the ideal situation, let's try and do it a little bit less. And we didn't have like a hard number for when we stopped giving them food. That was, again, something that was learned over time, like watching their weight. And then we slowly like pulled back. Their food, after release it, we found a mixture of, for their supplement, it was a Missouri pelleted bird diet, called Softville, Proline dog food, and scrambled eggs. And then the first thing we would do is take away the scrambled eggs. And then that would encourage them to forage more because they're like, man, oh boy, you should have seen them cry on those videos when they opened the hopper and there were no eggs. They're like, oh. It's just garbage. Now I gotta go find them freaking eggs. I would eat that. And then we would go just dog food in it, and then we take dog food out, and then it's just the pellets, and then eventually they're just like, I don't even care about this. And they wander off.
How old is the bird? How old the birds get to be if they got to be as old?
I don't know that we've like had the record, but they can live into their teens. I believe the oldest bird that I knew of was, I'm not even sure if he was in his teens. We believe that they can live in their teens. I'm sure that there is one that's in its teens now, but when I was there, the oldest bird that we found on property was like 8.
The
And he was
raven,
unbelievable.
one to get into the 30s.
That would be amazing. I'm gonna have to like double check and see if there is an actual, I bet Cornell might have the lifespan of them, but it should be pretty similar to an American crow. Yeah.
Two things. What do you think happened to them in the storm? Do you think they survived or no?
I sure hope so. I think that some did. I think some certainly did not. But I do think that a lot of them did. Actually, when I moved off island in 2023, it was in the midst of a super typhoon coming right at us. I actually felt terrible. So I met my partner on the island. He also came out there to raise birds. Hi, Dave, if you're watching. I don't know if you are. I sent him a link. He came out there the same year as me. That's where we met. And then I got a job at the Peregrine Fund to work with the condors. So I was leaving the program as the typhoon was coming at us, chartered a plane, took my cat that we found on the island with me, and in that typhoon, most of the birds did make it through that typhoon. It was not as intense. It didn't hit the island as directly as Bobby, so I think there was certainly a lot more problems. I think even birds that did survive are now going to be facing the problem of not having a lot of food. We will certainly be supplementally, I still say we, well, I'm not in the program anymore. I am no longer affiliated with this program, but I know a lot of people that are. So they will definitely provide supplemental food for them, but with all of the leaves and the fruit just fall off those trees and the insects are kind of decimated in a storm like that. So that's a big problem. Like if they make it through, what are they going to eat afterwards? Someone told me that Dr. Fagry said that she's observed and believes that they shelter next to the cliffs. So there's a lot of elevation and like it's not high elevation, but like the topography of the island, the cliffs provide like a sheltering. Maybe I'll just click back to that. Oh man, that's a lot of clicking. I'll slowly go back to that slide where you can see like the limestone cave, because we don't think that they go into the caves, but if they're at the base of a cliff that's on the opposite side of where if the wind's coming from the opposite side, they can kind of shelter in places like this. that's not like a true cave, but this is where she thinks, like places like this is where they would find shelter, get down low, get out of the trees, try and get out of the wind as best as possible. They did recapture, so they had recently released cohort 8 to the wilds back in May. They caught all of those birds and brought them back to the zoo and put them in an indoor space inside cages so that they weren't out there in the elements. But obviously we couldn't capture all 300 of the birds that are out there.
But the birds probably have like an innate sense of knowing that something's happening and they probably went looking for shelter before.
I sure hope so. I'm sure that there were casualties, but I hope that it was not enough to take us too far backwards.
I think they all hunker down somewhere they're fine.
I love that. I agree with her. Fine. Yeah, they had 10 babies while they were waiting. Oh, for sure, for sure. Like I said, we wore those costumes. We did the best for them to not know who we are, but I know that they knew us as individuals. They definitely, like, my boss is about 1.5 feet taller than me, and they, the way that they would act when he would go in there, the way that they would act when I would go in there was completely different. They would really get in my face. I mean, because he's been there longer, but like, you could see them jump, sometimes they would jump on your shoulder and like look right into your mat. And you're like, okay, like, you can see but yeah, they definitely are very curious, very, very smart. And I really liked watching them problem solve and how to like catch the geckos and things like that and how to figure out a hermit crab. Some of them would step on a hermit crab, which we did not teach them to do, but it's a high risk method that sometimes it involves pinched toes. That's why we taught them to wedge them into things, because if you step on it wrong, you get a little tickly under a cut pinch. But it works for some, so they do what they all do their way. All right, shall we stop talking about all these guys?
Questions on
Good question? You did, yeah.
I noticed that on the previous picture, the two birds that one looked much older because of the yelling in the beak, but they had the same left-footed colors.
Oh.
So does that mean that they're brother and sister or sister and sister or whatever?
It just meant that we only have a certain number of colors that we can use.
Oh.
They actually had to get creative.
It's older than the other.
Oh yeah, this one is older. This one is aluminum. So that one is a metal band. So this is berry,
Okay.
and this is bee wade, and this is roar. But yeah, we definitely do have some repeats though, because there weren't a lot of colors to choose from. They actually just had to format a new one to get another color in there. They've started like painting them with gold, not the birds, but the band with like gold nail polish to try and have like another color that they can use, because they only make so many different ones, and they only have 2 legs. And there's so many combos.
John, do we have any questions going on? No. Not any more questions? Wow, was this great or what?
Thank you so much for having me. Obviously, this is something that I'm really passionate about, and I really love sharing stories about things like this. So I'm just gonna stick this up here if anybody's so inclined. But like, thank you for having such great questions. Thank you for being so engaging, and thank you for having me.
Amber, thank you for what you do.
And yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you do.
And sharing.
Words, incredible.
It was an honor to be part of the program for so long. Honestly, if they would let me, I would fly on a plane right now and go build one series of myself. But they've got people there that are capable, and they're gonna do that.
Well, thank you very much. So we'll take a break now, but okay. If you did not pick up a t-shirt, Patty skipped out. Please don't wait till she gets back over there before you. Oh, you're gonna do it, okay, maybe don't take over. If you need to pick up your t-shirt, if you need to pay, you can do that tonight. And we'll take, I've got, 7, almost 7:20. We'll take about 10 minutes, okay? All right, thank you. it's summertime and Water Wednesdays are back. So the next Water Wednesday, and this is a program that, John and, what do we call ourselves? Water.
I did have it.
I did have it on. So next Wednesday night, I believe I saw an email from John on this. It went out, there's a link that you can register, or you can register for here. I think I saw it in listserv as well, maybe. Anyway, it's a great program, a lot of interesting stuff. Come join us. Okay. And next week it's the human water cycle, the biology of wastewater.
She's thinking about that. You're thinking about that.
You know, I can remember as a Girl Scout going to a wastewater facility.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I mean, that's 50 years ago.
We did that for environmental science in my
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah. Actually, I was probably younger than 50. So anyway, maybe 55 years ago. And so it just hit me. It's like, gosh, I wonder how it's changed. You know?
Oh, okay.
I bet it's changed a lot. So anyway. Yes, hopefully. So anyway, come listen in, okay? And it's for previous AT, right? Okay. Not that anybody needs AT, but hey. Okay, see.
All right. We have a lot of exciting plans and for our 25th anniversary, which the official date is on September 11th, or actually the 12th. Was the first meeting.
Susan set me straight.
Yeah,
That's right.
So the very first event we're going to have is our County Commissioners Court is going to be doing a proclamation about the Cradle of Texas Chapter. That will be Tuesday, September 8th at 9 a.m. at the Brazoria County Courthouse on the second floor. If you can join us, we'd love to have a great turnout to show a lot of support. Please wear your 25th anniversary t-shirt if you want one. And then we will be having an event each month that is in support of our 25th anniversary. Phil Hexford is planning a whooping crane trip in December, so he is working on that for us. We're also looking to do a tree planting of loblolly pines, 25 of them, out at Camp Mohawk, so that's something we're working on. We also, our fall field day will be part of that. We're going to be having a scavenger hunt, so start putting your teams together. That will hopefully be out at Brazos Bend. Does anyone have contacts at Brazos Bend that I might be able to get in touch with rather than just?
I think I'm supposed to do it.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Mickey.
He's the vice president.
And then Nikki is working on ideas for a family picnic early in the year. We're not sure where the location for that will be, maybe Reese County Park, we're thinking. And just a whole bunch of fun things like a bio blitz, some nature walks, things like that. Our hot off the press day for our 25th anniversary luncheon is Saturday, November 14th. Saturday, November 14th from noon to 2. We're doing it on a Saturday, so hopefully that will make it easiest for most people to be able to attend. And we'll be having a baked potato luncheon for that. But we also will be honoring those of our chapter, like Susan Conity, who have been here since the very first day. I know, she's like, sorry, I gotta call. Okay, but if you'd like to help plan, we'd love to have your help. Just get in touch with me. You can send it to christinerivers@gmail.com or christine@burningforfun.com. That one's working here. I also wanted to let you know about a couple of things that are going on Surfside County Beach this weekend. Avoid the area. There is a beach takeover. that is going on. There is a huge trail ride event, and if you complain to the city, they point the fingers at the county, saying it's on the county beach, but undoubtedly it's gonna do some damage out there, but you probably should avoid the area.
What do you mean by trail ride though?
Horses. Lots and lots and lots of horses. And I don't know what they mean by takeover, but it sounds horrible. I know when they have the takeovers in the parking lots and stuff, it's like.
They're gonna
Chaos.
camp out. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I doubt they'll probably do whatever they want to do, unfortunately, because they've got approval to be out there. They said they are increasing the police presence, like the sheriff's office, the city police, they've got other jurisdictions coming in to help.
Just
Stay away
stay home.
and make sure, if you've got people with grandkids or something that are planning to go out, let them know too, to stay away. It's not gonna be a safe place for us or this weekend.
Okay, thank you. What's next? Oh, so we're still planning on, where's Vicky? And Vicky, still planning on, Bracken Cave and Bamberger Ranch in October. We want more information about it. You can contact Dick. There's this, email down there. I am planning on going and I'm dragging my husband. And there's a couple other friends too, so. Need a head count by the 1st and payment by the 15th, and the amounts are there, so. You want, how do you want it, cash, check, what?
To be determined.
Okay.
I already got my hotel reservation.
Me too.
I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Where you staying?
I'm staying in Blanco.
Yes, I was thinking of staying.
No, I believe that we're limited on the the Bamberger Ranch at 38, I believe, Nikki,
Yes.
38. And I don't think there's any number for the Bracken Cave. I forgot to look, but I think we're around 25 that have committed and 2 or 3 that are unsure yet, but the number stops at 38. So.
Do we need to give you money for this now? Or?
No,
Oh, okay.
but
Do we have a location where we're gonna meet, folks, to find out? I mean,
basically, I think Mickey sent out an email that had map. We're meeting at Bamberger Ranch that morning. And as far as, it's up to you folks to decide where you want to stay. I put out, trying to get some group rates and didn't really work out. The rooms are pretty inexpensive as far as rooms go now. There's only 2 hotels. The emails of the Hotel Henry and the Blanco River Inn.
That's where I'm staying, the Blanco.
And that's, the Blanco River Inn, I think, serves breakfast. The Hotel Henry does not.
That's why I'm staying.
It's got some kind of
We'll be staying in Blanco.
What?
Hotel Henry has some kind of a wedding going on like that weekend
Oh,
before we get there. Cause we're going up a day early.
Okay,
And so they didn't have any rooms.
okay. Yes, Chris.
I grew up in the area of Bracken Cave, and it's nowhere near Blanco, Texas.
Yes, it's about a 40-minute trip.
Northeastern suburb of San Antonio called Garden Ridge.
Mhm.
New Braunfels is probably the biggest town.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay in that area, you can.
It looked pretty close on the map.
Because again, Blanco's not a big town, and I
No,
don't disagree, they only have 2 hotels.
We taken Bulverde and that went, and we went to Bracken Cave and Bamberger Ranch, and that was kind of central.
well,
That
hold
was
on.
pretty good.
So,
Good girls, yes.
yes. So
We were able to.
There's Blanco.
Too bad.
there's Bamberger Ranch that top green dot, and then Bracken Cave's down here. Fine, like you said, you brought this.
And Bull Verde has more campsites,
Yeah.
hotels. They got worked out pretty good. It wasn't just a big drive either way.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
So the Bracken Cave is the Monday evening before, and then we have the Bamberger Ranch tour. I mean, you don't have to do both, but it's there if you want, and like I said, I don't think there's any number as far as the Bracken Cave, but we are limited to 38 and I do want to let them know probably the first part of September.
Yeah.
What it is, it's only fair to them. And I realize things change, but we need to give them a number by September 1st. So.
Would you back that slide?
So if you are interested, email me. I'll put you on the list. I believe I have a separate email list for those that have committed. And I'm basically just interested in the Bamberger Ranch thing, the Bracken Cave. I think we paid there.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we can pay there, but I'd sure hate to not show up with 5 people.
Yeah. There's, I think, 10 or so committed or said that they're attending.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
I'll send you an email when I get that.
I made the contact, and they're doing a special thing for us.
Okay.
So,
You make it worth their while.
yeah, well, and I just think we should. So if you don't show, oh, man.
So Nikki has said that she's made special arrangements with the folks there. And so if we don't make a good impression, we are going to experience Mickey's wrath.
See, there's, we can vouch for that. Where's Marty?
I think her students could, when she was teaching, could attest to that one, that they didn't show up for my graduation celebration. So anyhow, that's all I got. Any questions? Oh, I got seeds too. Let me see. Oh my God. Come on. You can do better than that. Bring them all. I don't need them.
What kind of seeds?
Indian blanket and black eyed Susan
Oh,
from the Pocket Prairie and in his backyard. So the Camp Mohawk Pocket Prairie. So, okay. Mickey, do you want to say anything? I kind of tried, I took your email and kind of updated numbers.
I say a couple of them. I sent her come up there.
The audio monitoring, we're done now, right?
No, last week.
Last week. Okay.
Last week, yeah.
Okay.
So, for those that are not participating in the Great Baton Bridge survey, this time we had fewer teams that went out. We have about 12 teams, but due to a variety of things, besides being hot, we had 4 teams.
Out of town. Out of town. I was out of town.
Yeah, but I couldn't take it. We did survey, 14 surveyed 37 bridges. We have found, not this time, but other times we've found 5 bridges with bats. And you think, well, that's not a lot, but that really tells us a lot. We know that those 5 bridges have bats, and some of them Warren resurveyed and Dick resurveyed. And then we actually had 1 new bat bridge this time. It was not in our county. Actually, I think I said it was in Matagorda, but it's not.
Fort Bend.
Fort Bend County. And a lot of swallow nests. Bats use the swallow nests, we understand. So we have, I counted, and I made a pretty good guesstimate. We have about 70 bridges left to survey.
Yeah.
We have managed to survey all these bridges.
So I
Missouri County.
have the next.
Oh, yeah.
So this this was from this month, I assume.
Yes.
Because the red dots kind of made sense, except the ones that Paula and her husband did
Yes,
are out west of Brazos Bend, so I couldn't get them on the map.
but all the green bridges mean we've surveyed them.
And
And the red meant this time. So we really, I kind of did a quick count. Now some of that's not Brazoria County,
So
a little bit, but we got about 70 bridges. So if the teams go out this time, we probably are gonna be able to survey the entire thing.
So one thing I noticed, and I'm wondering if Coastal Prairie's not participating. But all of these bridges, so there's Sugarland. All these bridges here. Nobody's done any of these. So I'm
They're not
wondering if they're
participating.
not participating. So, and there's more to the west here,
Few more,
a few more, so
and we have a few
there's a few down here.
down here, review, but I think we'll manage to do it. Now, somebody asked me, what, after this year, what do we do? We have two more, we have July and August to survey. What do we do next year? Right now, all I know is that the program may be done.
Oh, really?
I don't know for sure, but, I don't know what the next phase will be. If they'll want us to continue to survey, or suggested that we continue to survey informally the bridges, especially with VATS, and see what they look like during the winter, which I think would be a good project too.
Well, if I remember right, the first survey was in December, right? When we were doing the monthly thing, but if, like we were supposed to survey in January and they canceled that one because of the weather. And then we did what, February?
Mhm.
No March, no April, and then May, June, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The summer, so December really was a practice.
Yeah.
Was considered a practice, so I'll let you know. I guess I'll be the bat lady.
But you wear that tiara so well.
I forgot tonight.
But, okay.
Well, I wanted to also, one thing.
Oh, done.
A couple of our teams are leaving us, the squares are moving. Yes, they're leaving us, they have turned in their best, I'm sad, few tears were shed. And the Purvises have, they're getting ready to move also. And so we've lost that team. So we're down to about 10 teams.
What did I do?
You didn't do anything. They're running from hurricanes.
And it's good.
But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yes, I'm very sad. Okay, let's see. All right, Amanda, there she is. And while she's coming, I wanted, with purposes, I want to thank Kathy and Kyle for their generous support of the chapter. They've given several donations and, you know, it really has meant a lot. So thank you very much.
Sorry, everybody, I'm a little. So beginning balance was 10,675.95. Honestly, your donation helped a lot. This 25th celebration has been a lot. Revenue was 2477, expense 2732, ending balance is 10,420, and then our lovely little savings. So it's a lot of nonsense up here. But pretty much we have our final member dues. We finally have a finalized active member list. We have our lovely donation. So I'm gonna add some new tabs, but right now it shows membership payments for insurance. That's 25th celebration, so that brings us to the 2477. Let's see. Okay, so state meeting sponsorship, we did the 300. Mickey's that dislike is under the outreach.
Right, and we bought, Blackstone Pro too, didn't we?
Yeah, that's under the field research, but projects. And then the 27th for recognition, that's just the purchase for the shirts. They still got their 2,000, so that brings us down to the expenses being 2732.
She gave me a heart attack though.
You know, this is my first year doing a budget.
I thought 1,600 had been spent of our 2,000.
Are you gonna have any intern stuff? We've got books and things.
Yeah, we have books,
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
I don't think we're gonna need much stuff.
Okay.
Awesome, I found that I'm doing the bad surveys to doing great. I'm trying to get under bridge. But that's it, nothing exciting.
Tell them what else you found.
Uh-oh.
Money?
Snake?
Ink.
That was.
Which, where was that?
Where?
We went towards Manville.
Hayes Creek.
Oh.
So we pretty much ran out in our area. We did most of the Angleton ones,
We got
Blue.
4 or 5 bridges with apple snail, something.
Why do they have to be so pretty?
Do it. We need to go, do we need to do an intervention?
It was pretty bad. We got a lot of them, but
Well, I missed my video because Andy said it's apple snails, and then I turned around and looked, she had her foot poking out.
just do the right thing.
That's what about killing the cow in the water?
But they said that was the lesson I got when I was doing my intern training is you're not getting the water, the eggs can't survive.
If they're,
That's why
they're
it's
still bright pink. Once they get rid of that kind of white, they're about that.
I was saying, still smash it, so you're good.
Does anybody have any questions on the finances?
No one ever does, really.
Okay. Great, thank you, Amanda. So Ruby's not here tonight. I know they had, the library program's still going. They did Angleton yesterday, they did Lake Jackson today. It's probably why she's not here, she's exhausted. I don't know how she's feeling with, if she needs more volunteers, but if you're available. Yes, the answer's always yes. 16th, 21st, 23rd, 28th. If you can help out, especially if you live in these areas, please contact Ruby and tell her, hey, if you need somebody, let me know. There's her email up there. Okay, and it is Ymail, not Gmail. The only other thing that I know of is, Sea Center, Texas does this shark celebration every summer in the hottest part of the summer. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of people come to it. If you can help out, oh shoot, I didn't.
They still need a lot of volunteers. She just sent an email 2 days ago saying they still need a decent amount.
Ruby does?
No, Jordan for the shark celebration, so I don't know if you guys help with that.
Yeah, we do, but I didn't, so she sent it to.
I'm just part of the.
Sea Center? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll reach out to her. I've got to put Jordan's email up here, but they need help.
There's a link to her email in the newsletter.
Okay, thank you. Look at your newsletter. Okay. And, once we hit August, there's gonna, in September, there's gonna be several festivals, there'll be stuff in October. So, whatever we can do to participate, help out, it'll be appreciated. Okay, Oren. So, something I was supposed to say. Something else I had. Shoot. Oh, I remember what it was. If you're interested in going to the state meeting, the agenda is on the website now.
And there's a link to it in the newsletter.
And there's links in the newsletter. And registration will start August 1st at 8 a.m. Not at midnight. Thank God. Anyway, if you're gonna go, study the agenda. And be ready. Be ready.
Make your hotel reservation.
Yeah, go ahead and make your hotel reservations. Yes. Yes.
That date's wrong, Lauren.
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had that before I saw Jimmy's message.
I just copied what Warren sent me. Except, I think I did change something.
I don't think so.
Right here. I put most of the new stuff here on the first slide.
Yeah, I noticed that. Great. Yeah, several opportunities listed up here, on the Missouri County Parks Department at Resaw. I know I sent a message out about some tree plantings, and I sent a follow-up message saying that it's been postponed. I still don't know what the rescheduled date is for the trees. Haven't heard, back from Mary Short. On the apple snails and the fishing line removal, those are kind of on hold too, till, my understanding is until their, duck breeding season is over on the islands, so we don't disturb their nesting, so anyway.
Like the fledglings, the egrets and herons are out there in the road. Or they'll throw fish on our heads or something.
Yeah. But anyway, so those are upcoming opportunities. Nothing really going on with them right now. And then the Abigail or Iowa City of Langland Park planning, that'll be in November. There'll be more coming on that. The third bullet up there, GCBO bird feeder maintenance. GCBO now is without RV volunteers, and I don't believe they have any committed to coming in until after maybe even the first of the year.
Oh, wow.
So right now, they're putting a schedule together for several of we interested parties to sign up and go out there and help with the mowing. This has to do with, keeping the hummingbird feeders filled. Right now, they only have, I think, like 5 feeders. But as we get closer to XHS, they'll be ramping up on the number of feeders. And absence of the volunteers are asking for help. And so really what they're looking at for, hopefully, is a champion, a person, could be persons, but somebody to fill the feeders. And that also includes the sunflower feeders. 1 day per week. They're estimating to take 2 to 3 hours. As they start ramping up on the number of feeders, I've been told that their staff personnel will help with that as well. But right now, it's a handful of hummingbird feeders. I don't know how many sunflower feeders they got, but if you're interested, please let me know. Kayla Pringle sent the email to me. She put a little description down on what to do. You know, basically it's taking the feeder down and, you know, they've got a spare set of feeders, so when you go out, you get the fresh feeder filled with nectar, take the old one down, put the new one up, and then clean the old one that you take down. Like I say, right now it's only 5, but I know during XHX, they're everywhere you look, so I don't know how many they end up with. So if you are interested, 2 to 3 times a week, plus they ask that it be on the same day each week. I guess it's the routine they want to maintain. They don't care which day. She used Tuesday as an example, but it could be any day of the week. But they are asking if somebody is interested, if they could try to commit to doing it the same day each week. And they would really appreciate it. Beach sweep, actually it's going to be Monday, the 10th of August, and it will be at the jetties, correct? See, I assumed 2 things, the date and the place, and I was wrong on both of them. But Jimmy has sent out a. Same thing as 16.
It's Dewey
It's
Street,
not.
right? No?
Yeah, if you look on a map, it says Dewey, and then you look out there, it says
And
16.
if you work out there, it's not even the same street.
Never heard that before.
Oh, yeah, I've had it up there forever.
For clarification, we can be.
Looks at these.
Dewey runs one way, 16th Street runs this way.
We did the jetties on even number month and the beach on odd number.
Oh, well, maybe.
Yeah, but as soon as you start it, then it's on flip-flop it again.
Jimmy, that's trying to start that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna do which? We'll do the jetty?
Yeah, jetties. Yeah, it's correct on the calendar, on a volunteer calendar. I did correct that. Yeah, Jimmy sent the email out. I read the email and I fixed the calendar and I'd already sent this, so she was jet lagged, so I didn't try to changed it.
You're forgiven.
It gives us something to talk
Yeah,
That's right.
Little bit.
Okay.
Quintana, beach cleanup, that'll be on the, 29th of August. It's really a splash event. Of course, Eastville helps co-sponsor that, so, I've got Celeste up there as a contact.
That Brian Beach or Quintana?
Quintana.
I'm gonna have a lot of nesting sites on Brian Beach.
Let's see, anything update wise on DFNC, Kathy?
It's really hot.
Anything new?
No, but, I did get to see the, sorry, nothing new there. We did trim some trees, raise some canopy on some trees that are there so that now we have some more land to put flowers in or stuff. But, I got to go behind the scenes, just as an aside. Sometimes you get to see cool stuff up there. And so I got to see their, horn lizards
Oh.
that they're raising.
Oh.
So, the public's not allowed to see them, right? But,
Do they get red ants from somewhere to feed them?
there's some ants and some other stuff there that they were feeding them. So, I mean, it was really, Dolores Fenwick is doing some good work. And it's not just about, having, a wildscape and some lakes. They're doing some stuff behind the scenes too. So, so it's nice when we can go up and help with something else that allows them to go focus on other things. So anyway, sorry. The usual days there.
Okay. Campbell, Pocket Prairie, anything big on that?
Still hot.
That's the Resoft Park Pollinator Gardens.
Kate's back there.
Kate's back here. There she is. Kate, anything? Is it hot?
It's hot. Yeah, so we're working on, expanding between the two gardens, and that's gonna be, we decided in the fall. So, actually, we've got 3 gardens that we do, but 2 gardens are close together. We're gonna expand between the 2 gardens, and we had 3 of us show up this Monday, so that was pretty good. We're getting more people involved. So, welcome to join. Usually it's Monday morning, but we kind of play it by ear, and sometimes we'll do evenings. So I just texted out to everybody.
You asked me about supportive reading.
Yes.
So I have some, we'll talk, but I've got some at the house.
Okay, on construction projects, currently we're working on, some deck work at DCBL in the main office area. It's not hot out there. So everybody's interested, we always have a cool breeze, always work in the shade. We've got a snow cone truck next door.
Yeah.
But if you're interested, just give me a holler. We've got our main deck pretty much complete, starting on the demo of the ramp. Right now it's, George and I and, Tom Troney and David Heineke. And,
The usual.
yeah, the usual suspects. But it's cool out there. It's a break from some of these other opportunities. Let's see, anything else?
Everything else is the same.
Yeah, thanks. But
Again, there's lots of stuff going on. Barbara, you want to say anything?
So I am planning a fall intern class. It's, we're probably gonna have orientation in September. And we're gonna try and keep it to Wednesdays and maybe a couple Saturdays, but sometimes when we do Wednesdays and Saturdays, it gets a bit too much for everybody. But I'm hoping to start like a little bit later. Hopefully it'll be cooler, won't be so hot. But some of you know that I will be getting in touch with you to see if you're still interested in helping us out with the training. But I'm working on the calendar now, so it'll be a few weeks before I get everything figured out. Thank you.
Okay, anything from anybody else? Yes, Patty.
I think I'm probably loud enough. Okay, so, number one, I'm working on the August newsletter today. And I noticed something that has been wrong with every single newsletter. And I have, my main proofreaders are, Kathy and Donna. I always send it out to the whole board first to go over, make sure it's all right. Well, nobody ever answers me except for these two. I appreciate them. But on the certifications page, I have certifications, blah, 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 month 2025 on every single month. I have the wrong year. So how we didn't notice that, it's like right in the heading, in case you just don't think about it. So anyway, it's fixed for this next month. And then, the other thing is, I'm so proud that we had like in the neighborhood of 80 members order t-shirts. And so, and we all together, we had ordered 100 t-shirts. So I'm proud of y'all for getting those, and I'm happy that you did it, and make sure you wear them to the commissioner's report meeting. It'd be cool just to have as many as we can out there.
It would be nice to have
Yeah.
a good representation.
And I think that everybody here's already, almost everybody in this room got a t-shirt, I think. So I'll bring it back again to the August meeting, but if somebody wants to pick up one for somebody else, or, you know, if they can't make it, a couple people, I'm leaving Marlon's in the office over here, he asked me to do that, so.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else? Going once, going twice, I know people want to get out of here. Okay.
1 hour, 1 hour.
1 hour, 1 hour? Okay. Post travel time. So an hour for volunteer service, an hour for AT. And, I want to say thanks to y'all for coming, tonight. And for hanging out, and hopefully, learn some good stuff. And our next meeting will be the 12th. It'll be a morning meeting. And ask somebody to come with you. Okay? All right, thank you all.